Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to cover the lesson 16.4, which is same perimeter but different area. Now let's think about what we mean by perimeter and area. Remember, perimeter is the measurement of distance around a figure, and area is the measurement of the space inside a figure. Let's look at our solve and share. But before we do, you're probably going to find we're going to need extra notebook paper. So make sure you have some with you. All right, so it says draw two different rectangles with a perimeter of 10 units. Find the area of each rectangle. Compare the area. So I got to think about what I know about a rectangle and how I can come up with 10 as adding all the signs together. I know that I would have to have two sets of doubles because a rectangle has matching pairs of sides. So, with my perimeter equals 10 units, I'm going to think of ways that I can add the number 10 that I have two doubles. So the first way I think of is I could do 1 unit on the length. And so if I have 1 here and 1 here, that's 2 of my 10 units. So it would be 10 minus 2 leaves me with 8. And I have to have 8 on two sides, so 8 divided by 2 equals 4. So I know excuse me, that the top and bottom are going to be 4. Let's check it to make sure. So I have perimeter equals, and I'm going to add my doubles. 4 plus 4 plus my sides, 1 plus 1. So when I do that, I find that perimeter equals 8 plus 2, so perimeter equals 10 units. So yes, I do have 10 units on my perimeter. I wanted you to make sure you could see how I was making two doubles to come to 10. But now I need to also find the area. Remember, area is the amount of space that's in the figure. So if I look at 4, I could draw my lines to show you I have 1 unit width here and 4 unit widths there. How many square units are on the inside of my shape? Well, we could simply count 1, 2, 3, 4, and we see that it's 4. Now, my area formula, when we're dealing with a rectangle, is length times width. So, my area here would be length 4 times my width 1. Area equals 4 square units. So for my first shape that I just did, I have 10 units for the perimeter, 4 square units for the area. But it told me I need to do two different rectangles. So I like to do the next easiest one for me would be to say that my side is going to be 2. And if my side is 2, and that would be 2 plus 2 is 4, and I have to have 10 total, so that would be 10 minus 4 equals 6. I know that my total combined for these two measurements is going to be 6. So that would be 6 divided by 2 equals 3. So my top and bottom measurement are going to be 3. So I'm going to do show you my perimeter. Perimeter equals 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3. Because remember, we're adding all of the length sides together. Perimeter equals 4 plus 6. So my perimeter equals 10 units. Okay, so that part's all squared away, but now we have to look at our area. Remember, the area is going to equal length times width. Now I could come up here and draw my dividing line so that I have 2 rows, and then I know that this part's got to be divided into 1, 2, 3. So, or I could just look and say area equals my length times my width, 3 times 2. So my area for this shape equals 6 square units. Now, when we look at this, I can see my perimeter for each rectangle is exactly the same, but my area is different. The first one has an area of 4 square units, and the second one has an area of 6 square units. Which one is larger? It would be the second one as far as larger area. So this one would have a larger area than the first one. Let's turn our page. And they're going to show us how they solve. Beth, Nancy, and Marcia build rectangular pens for their rabbits. Each pen has a perimeter of 12 feet. Which rectangular pen has the greatest area? So they're already telling us that each of these have 12 feet, and they're going to show you how each one equals 12 feet and how we solve for the area. So on Beth's plan, find the perimeter. 5 plus 1 plus 5 plus 1 equals 12 feet. I like to remember, I like to use my doubles first. So 5 plus 5 is 10. 1 plus 1 is 2. 10 plus 2 equals 12. Now to find the area, we're going to multiply the number of rows by the number of square units in each row. So in here, we have 1 row, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 square units in the top. So we say area is equal to 1 times 5, which is equal to 5 square feet. So Beth's pen has an area of 5 square feet. But now let's look at Nancy's plan. Nancy has her perimeter of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4, 4, 2, and 2. So 4 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2 equals 12 feet. And then the area is, remember, our length times our width. Area equals 2 times 4, which is 8 square feet. So Nancy's pen has an area of 8 square feet. Let's look at Marcia's plan. Now, Marcia's plan says that each of hers is 3. And we look right here, we can see 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, and 3. And we know when all 4 sides are the same length that we have a special rectangle called a square. So the perimeter here is 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, which is 12 feet. Now to find the area, we multiply the length times the width. 3 times 3 equals 9 square feet. So Marcia's pen has an area of 9 square feet. And the question was, which rectangular pen has the greatest area? So when we look at this, we're looking at 5 square feet compared to 8 square feet compared to 9 square feet. And we can see that Marcia's plan has the greatest area. Now let's look at the next page. Now on this next page, the very first question says, in the plans on the previous page, what do you notice about the area of the rectangles as the shape becomes more like a square? Well, as we look again at these shapes, long skinny rectangle, shorter rectangle, more side length, and then over to a square, each time the area of the rectangle increased as it became more like a square. So what we're going to write right here is the area increases. So the closer it is to the shape of a square, the greater the area it will cover. Now let's look at excuse me, number 2. Austin is building a rabbit pen with 25 feet of fence. What are the dimensions of the rectangle he could build to have the greatest possible area? Well, do you remember that area is length times width? So if I know my area is my length times my width, and I know that 25 is going to be my total, what two numbers could I multiply to get to 25? Well, I could say 5 times 5. So area equals 5 times 5. Area equals 25. So we have our 25 feet. So our answer would be 5 times 5. Now let's look over here. We have quite a few to answer, but they did not give us space. Now they said we can use grid paper to draw two different rectangles with the given perimeter and write the dimensions and area of each rectangle. Circle the rectangle that has the greater area. All right, we are going to use our notebook paper to answer these. Now, for some of you, if you wanted to take your notebook paper and use your ruler and draw lines down so that you create your grid paper, you're certainly welcome to do that. Or we can use our knowledge of addition and multiplication to be able to solve. So let's take a look at using that multiplication and addition to solve. We're going to start with number 3. I'm going to slide it up so you can see. I'm going to write number 3. We know that the perimeter that's given is 16 feet. So perimeter equals 16 feet. And the direction says to draw two different rectangles with this perimeter. That's the first thing we're going to do, two different rectangles with that perimeter. Well, the first thing that I would draw is I would give it a side length of 1. And then I would solve from there. Let me think. If I've got 1 as my side length, 1 plus 1 is 2. And then I know my total is 16, so 16 minus 2 leaves me with 14. Now remember, we've got doubles. What two numbers could we add together to get to 14? Or what is 14 divided by 2? Did you guess it? Did you guess 7? If you did, that is correct. So the top and bottom side length would be 7 feet. All right, so let's check this out. 7 plus 7 is 14, 15, 16. We have a perimeter of 16 feet. But now we have to figure the area. Remember, my area equals length times width. So my area is equal to 1 times 7. My area for this shape is 7. And remember, when we're talking about area, it's square feet. But it told me I had to draw two different rectangles with the same perimeter. So if I've used 1 for my side length, I think the next one I will go to is going to be trying 2 as my side length. So I'm going to draw my 2. Here's 2. And if I've got 16, and I've got 2 over here, 2 plus 2 is 4. 16 minus 4, because remember I want my total to be 16. 6 minus 4 is 2. 1 minus 0 is 1. That means I've got to have two numbers that are exactly the same that are going to equal 12. What doubles could I add together to equal 12? Or what is 12 divided by 2? Did you figure it out? Did you come up with 6? Because 6 would be 12 divided by 2. So that would mean that my top line is 6 and my bottom line is 6. So 6 plus 6 is 12, 14, 16. So I've got my perimeter equals 16 feet. Now we have to solve for the area. Excuse me, boys and girls. Remember, area equals length times width. And when I look right here, I've got 2 and 6. So area equals 2 times 6. Area equals 12. So my area is 12 square feet. And once I've drawn my 2, and it says to write the dimensions of each rectangle, it says to circle the rectangle that has the greater area. Which rectangle has the greater area? That is right. It is the second one. My second rectangle has a greater area. Now, let's go ahead and work number 7. We're hopping down to number 7. And it says, use grid paper to draw 2 different rectangles with the given perimeter. Same thing we just did on the previous problem. Write the dimensions and area of each rectangle and circle the rectangle that has the greater area. So we're doing the same thing that we did on the very top. So I'm going to go ahead and write number 7. Oops, let me get my green. And it says that perimeter is 10 inches. All right, so my perimeter equals 10 inches. And I want to figure 2 rectangles that will equal 10 inches. Well, I'm going to start with what number would be on the side. That would be my easiest to figure. If I have 1 unit on each side, I have 10 minus 1 plus 1 is 2, which is equal to 8. That means the top and bottom have to total to 8. So 8 divided by 2 equals what? It equals 4. So remember, my double 4 plus 4 equals 8. So is my perimeter 10? 4 plus 4 is 8, 9, and 10. It sure is. So now we just have to solve for the area. And area equals length times width. So I've got area equals 1 times 4. Area equals 4. And it's, for area, remember, square. And what's my unit of measure? Inches. 4 square inches. Now I have to draw 2 different rectangles. So this time I'm going to draw one that has 2 on the sides. So I've got 2 here and 2 here. So 2 plus 2 is 4, and 10 minus 4 is 6. So I know that top and bottom have to equal 6. What number can we double to get 6? That's right, it's 3. So let's double check. 3 plus 3 is 6, 8, and 10. So I've got my perimeter equals 10 inches. Now I have to figure my area. Now, if you're having difficulty because I don't have the lines here, let me draw them in for you real quick. So remember, I got 2 units on the side and 3 across the top, in case that helps you figure this area a little better. So my area equals length times width. So I've got 2 and 3. Area equals 2 times 3. Area equals, what's 2 times 3? It's 6. 6 square what? What was our unit of measure? Inches. Now I'm going to compare my shapes, my 2 rectangles. I've got 4 square inches and 6 square inches. Which one has a greater area? That is right. Rectangle 2 has a greater area. Let's turn our page over. And let's look at number 11. Now I want to do 11 for a couple of reasons. Number 1, it already has the grid lines for you, so you have a good visual of the area. And also, because it's our first one on this section, this time it says, write the dimensions of a different rectangle with the same perimeter as the rectangle shown. Then tell which rectangle has the greater area. It's the same thing that we've done up there, except for this time they're showing us the rectangle that they're using to begin with. So we're doing number 11, and their rectangle is 5 and 4. We don't know the perimeter. We have to solve for the perimeter because our other rectangle has to have the same perimeter. So remember, a perimeter, we're going to add all of our sides. And with a rectangle, we have two sets of matching lengths. So for this first rectangle right here, our perimeter is equal to, remember I like to join up my doubles, 5 plus 5 plus 4 plus 4. Now my perimeter equals 10 plus 8. So the perimeter equals 18. And what is our unit of measure? Inches. Now we know that the perimeter for this rectangle is 18 inches, and now we have to solve for that area. Remember, area equals length times width. That's just to remind us. So area equals, and we've got 4 and 5. 4 times 5. So the area for this shape equals 20 square, and what's that unit of measure? Inches. So we know for their rectangle, the perimeter is 18 inches, and the area is 20 square inches. We have to draw another rectangle that has the same perimeter, but a different area. So let's get started. So we already know that they've used 5 and 4, so we're going to have to use different numbers. How about we start with that 3? How about a 3? So if my side length is 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to try to draw it out like it would be. So if my side length is 3, how many units would my top be? Well, let's find out. So my side lengths are 3. My perimeter has to equal a total of 18 inches. So I have 3 plus 3 is 6, and 18 minus 6. So 8 minus 6 is 2, and 1 minus 0 is 1. So I know my top and bottom have to add to 12. What double could I add to equal 12? Well, we could say 12 divided by 2 equals box. So 6, yes, excellent. So 6 would be the top and bottom. Now, like I said, I'm going to show you so y'all can see. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and 3. So we figured our perimeter. Our perimeter is 18 inches. Now let's solve for our area. Area is equal to length times width. Area equals, what are my length and width? 3 and 6. 3 times 6. Area equals 18, because 3 times 6 is 18. Square, remember there's that many square inches. Now, let's just check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. See how we get length times width right there? So now what we have to compare is the area of 18 with the area of 20. Which rectangle had the greater area? That's right, it was the first rectangle had the greater area. Now, let's take a look at number 14. On number 14, we have to first solve for our perimeter. I know that the perimeter is equal to, let's add them up. I've got 3 plus 3 plus 5 plus 5. So my perimeter is equal to 6 plus 10. So the perimeter for this one is 16, and the measurement is meters. So the perimeter for this shape is 16 meters. What is the area? Remember, our area is equal to length times width. 3 times 5. Area equals 3 times 5. So our area equals 15 square meters. And remember, our job is to draw another rectangle with the same perimeter of 16 meters, but a different area. All right? So, number 14. Same perimeter, different area. Let's see, they did 3. Let's do 4. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I already know that my perimeter is equal to 4 plus 4 plus, and what I don't know is the other measurement. So let's solve right now, because I know my perimeter has to equal 16 meters. So 16 minus 4 plus 4 is 8. 16 minus 8 is 8. What's half of 8? It's 4. Oh my goodness, look. We ended up with a perfect square. So our perimeter equals 8 plus 8. So our perimeter equals 16. And our measurement is meters. All right, so I have the perimeter. That means I know that this one's 4 and this one is 4, right? So I'm going to draw my lines just so you can see the visual. All right, so if we have 4 plus 4 is 8, 8 plus 8 is 16. My area is equal to my length times my width. So my area equals 4 times 4, because length and width are the same, because we have that special rectangle called a square. So my area is equal to 16 square meters. Now remember, we're comparing our area. This first rectangle had an area of 15 square meters, and the rectangle we just drew has an area of 16 square meters. Which one is greater? That's right, the one we just drew is the greater area. Let's turn our paper to the back. And now this time, we're going to jump all the way down to the bottom to number 19. Looking at number 19, it says, Bella draws 2 rectangles. Select all, and remember when we see select all, we know that there's going to be more than one answer that's correct. Select all the statements that are true about Bella's rectangles. All right, well, let's see what the first thing says. It says they have the same side lengths. 3, 2, 4, and 1. Are those the same side lengths? No, we know those are not true. Now the next one says they have different side lengths. Well, is that true? 3, 2, 4, 1? Yep, those are different side lengths, so we know that that one is a true statement. The next option says they have the same perimeter, so we know we now have to solve for perimeter. So let's do that right off the bat. So I've got 2 and 3, so 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 2 plus 2 is 4, equals 10 meters. So the perimeter equals 10 meters. Let's check out the other one. So if this is 1, we know that's 1. If that's 4, we know that one's 4. 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 1 plus 1 is 2, equals 10. Is the perimeter 10 meters the same? Yes, they are. So do they have the same perimeter? Yes, so we would fill in that space. The next one says they have a different area. Well, that means we need to solve for area. So let's take a look. So for the rectangle on the left, we know that area equals length times width, right? And what are our length and width? It's 2 and 3. So area equals 2 times 3. What is 2 times 3? Area equals 6 square meters. So for this first rectangle, it's 6 square meters. Let's solve our area for our second rectangle. Our area equals length times width. I always like to write that to remind myself what I'm doing. Area equals 1 times 4. So our area for our second rectangle is 4 square meters. Now we have to look. First rectangle, 6 square meters. Second rectangle, 4 square meters. They have a different area. Are they different? Yes, they are. So this would be a true statement. And for the last one, it says they have the same area. Well, we just solved that. Do they have the same area? No. So our correct answers here would be the 3 on the side. Now, this one says, select all the equations that can be used to find the area of the rectangle. Well, remember, our area equals length times width, right? So my area is going to be what? It's going to be area equals 7 times 10. And my area is going to equal 70. So let's come down here and find what we could use for the equations for finding the area. This first one says 10 times 7 equals A. 7 times 10. Does the commutative property tell me that I can switch the order of the factors and my product will be the same? Yes, it does. So this first one is a correct equation. Now the next one says I could do 5 times 7 plus 5 times 7 equals A. Well, let me see. Could I break that down and do 5 times 7? Let's see. I'm going to use another piece of paper right here so you'll be able to see it a little better. If my original equation is 7 times 10 or 10 times 7, right? Could I use the distributive property to split that 10? Well, let's check it out. Could the 10 be 5 plus 5? And if 10 could be 5 plus 5, which we know it can, could I then multiply the individual 5s by the 7? And that answer is also correct. So it would be 5 times 7 plus parentheses 5 times 7 equals the area. So is this second one a true statement? Yes, it is. Now this next one says area equals 10 times 7. Well, can we put the A in front of the equation or have the A after the equation? Remember, the A is just the unknown. That's our area. That's what we're solving for. And yes, we can. Absolutely. Because the equal sign just represents that what's on this side is equal to what's on that side. Now let's take a look at this one. 7 times 7. Is the other side length 7? No, this one is not a true statement. And how about 10 times 10? Are both of those 10? No, it is not. So our correct answers would be just those 3. Now, for your homework tonight, you are going to be solving, and you will need some extra notebook paper, number 1 and 3, 5 and 7, and then when you turn the page, number 11 and 12. Now, boys and girls, if you want to go back and work some of the other problems, you certainly may, but the main part are the ones that we've covered today. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. I hope you have a wonderful day.